Well, you might expect that students reserve a welcome, like for a pop star, like that you're seeing on your screen right now. But no, that isn't Paolo Nutini. It's Italy's Deputy Prime Minister, Matteo Salvini, if you recognize him. And while he may be popular among these students at a private Catholic university in Rome, his fiscal fisticuffs with the European Commission is going down like a lead balloon in Brussels. All right, Italy's tussle with Brussels could come to a head tomorrow. That's the deadline for Rome to submit a revised budget that falls in line with EU regulations. Now, Italy's populist government has said it will not make the requested changes. So let's take a look at some of those key figures ahead of that deadline. 1.72 trillion euros, that's Italy's GDP for 2018, making it the third largest EU 27 economy. 131.8%, that's Italy's debt to GDP ratio, the Eurozone's second highest after Greece. 2.4%, that's the amount by which Italy wants to increase its budget deficit, which breaks EU rules, and 3.4 billion, that is the fine Italy could face after tomorrow. Well, with me in the studio to talk about how this may play out, we have Dutch MEP with the Alliance for Liberals and Democrats group, Caroline Nectagal, and we have a Portuguese MEP with the European United Left Nordic Green Left group, Marisa Matias. Now, both sit on the European Committee for Economic and Monetary Affairs. All right, when you see the showdown that we're expecting tomorrow between Italy and the EU, how do you see it playing out? How do you see it ending? I'll start with you, Marisa.
Honestly, I think that the Commission is not managing it that well, to be completely frank. And I wish I would have listened to the Commission saying some words about, for instance, the racism and the xenophobia of the Italian government. And we didn't hear much on this dimension. And I don't think, as we see the reception in these universities, quite clear that instead of becoming punished, he's becoming a hero. Salvini is becoming a hero in his own country. So by applying somehow discretionary rules, the Commission is making him a hero and is playing the role of the victim, and it doesn't help at all. And so we cannot say that 2.4% is against European rules, as the limit is 3%. And we have seen over the last years the European Commission applying this rule in very discretionary ways, as I said.
Considering the debt to GDP already being very high, 2.4%.
Of course, but we have
significant.
Yeah, but we have several countries with excessive deficits over the 3% and the debt and also surplus, and the Commission selects.
Well, you bring up something interesting, and I'll put this to you, is because you say Matteo Salvini becomes a hero, and the more that Brussels pushes back, the more popular he becomes in Italy. Do you see him standing his ground, and how is that going to end if he does?
Well, I really hope that tomorrow, when they come up with a new budget, that it's much, much better, because I have so many concerns about this budget. I'm concerned about, well, my favorite holiday country, Italy, what happened right there. And I think there are two main issues and main problems with the current budget, and that's are the measures. And the first thing that the measures is that the measures have to contribute to a much better performance, structural improvement of the economy of Italy. And what they suppose right now with the basic income or the age of retirement, that concerns me very, very much, especially the figures you showed to us about the debt and the deficit. And the second thing is the figures they used, and well, they are not correct about the deficit of 2.4%, and the Commission forecast 2.9%. So that doesn't work right now, not for Italy and not for Europe as well.
I mean, this is not the first time that we've seen this. We remember Greece when they were also pushing back for some time.
Portugal.
Yes, and Portugal. But the pushback, I mean, for trying to choose growth and be against austerity versus austerity that's coming. Is this becoming the Italy showdown with Brussels? Is it becoming a debate or a referendum on austerity itself, on the value of austerity itself?
I don't think that, honestly, I don't think that the Italian budget is an anti-austerity budget. But this is a very difficult position, as I said, because it's just a fake anti-austerity
Why?
budget.
Because if they don't spend, if they don't spend on growth and social welfare, that would be austerity for those.
But they don't invest as well. They propose, for instance, to cut real important investments like the train connection between France and Italy, which has European investment, France investment, Italian investment, and they are proposing to cut the investment. So to be a real and concrete and proper anti-austerity budget, it should have some investment included and not even more than there exists now, and not cutting what is being proposed by the time. But in any case, I don't agree also with this measure, but I'm sure by totally different reasons. I don't agree with the measure of the minimum income, because that's not the way to fight against unemployment. There are other ways to do that. But in any case, again, the Commission, by playing the game of all the time using a different criteria depending on the country, which is at stake, because if it is Greece or Portugal, you can do something. If it is France, you do nothing. If it is Germany, you do nothing. And then if it is Italy, and Italy is bigger than Portugal or Greece, then you try to do something, but you promote a hero, a national hero, with a program which I think is unacceptable if we consider the European values, so-called European values, but we don't see them anymore.
I mean, I want to bring in what the former Eurogroup chief, Jeroen Dijsselbloem, said. He said, on reforms, we have asked a lot of the Greek people, referring to Greece, too much. Reforms are hard enough to accomplish in a society with a well-functioning government. This was obviously not the case in Greece. Greece is obviously not a success story. Yeah. Is this a way of saying that, possibly there's another way to go about things, that maybe Italy is possibly could be given a chance?
No, you're fully right, because Greece is not a good example, and we hopefully will learn from it. A lot of people still feels the pain of our euro crisis, and we have to avoid a new crisis, and we have to create strong European economies, and every country has its own responsibility to take care of a strong economy.
And is growth the answer to a strong economy rather than austerity? Is that the
point? Growth and is investment and is public services for sure, is not austerity. But not with measures like that. I think we will not find a way to be closer.
Well, but we have to show, and I think the European Commission has a real task.
Right.
And you cannot have too many options how you deal with countries.
Okay, that's for sure.
No, that's the problem.
We'll be watching this closely, because there will be a debate and on this tomorrow, which we'll be keeping an eye on. All right, let's turn